Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff Aviano, and welcome to the trailer breakdown of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So, a bombshell was released today, and that is, hey, there's a new Microsoft Flight Simulator coming out next year. It's called Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and it has career aviation as a benchmark that we are seeing here so far. In the trailer, I'm playing in the background very slowly, but we are going to go through this stuff step by step, shot by shot, and look at what has changed, what's new, what we can expect. I think the most important thing right now, if you're a current user of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, is to just take a deep breath, breathe, and wait for Asobo to come forward with information about third-party add-ons from, Microsoft Flight Simulator being transferred over, what's going to go on with the marketplace, etc., etc. But there's a lot here to unpack when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and I am excited for it. I am a person that is overly optimistic a lot of times whenever new games come out, or a new sim in this case comes out, and think about how Microsoft used to release these games in the past. It was always every 2 years. Think of FS9. So let's just talk about FS 2000, then 2002, 2004, and then FSX, and so on and so forth. That is how their model always went, was every 2 years that was the case. Now, they said in Microsoft Flight Simulator that it was going to be a 10-year lifespan for it. Now, does that mean that the servers are going to be for 10 years, for the photogrammetry, for the satellite data, etc., or updates? Or does it mean that that is just what they are promising for that particular sim? Now, maybe there are things here that we're not understanding, and that is there are certain aspects to the game that they have added that they didn't do in the last one because they couldn't without rewriting some code, or who knows. So this is a very interesting bombshell that was dropped at the Xbox Expo, which is kind of like the E3, so that's the reason why they're releasing that information. Now, I will be at Flight Sim Expo on June 22nd through 26th, and Microsoft will be there in Asobo, and we'll get to speak to them directly, and I will be looking into all of this for you, and I will report back from what I hear when I go down there. So, a lot of cool stuff here. We're going to start from the beginning, and we're going to go through the whole thing. There's a lot there to see that we haven't seen in the past. So let's go ahead and get started. We have an opening shot here in LA, and here is a wildfire in the distance. Looks very, very good. We see that cloud just kind of, billowing up into the atmosphere and turning into the wind. A very believable looking scene here. And one thing I have noticed right out of the gate on this trailer is that we have a different color palette in this simulator. So here's the next shot. We can see we got a CL-415, I believe is what the airplane is. Water bomber here flying towards Griffith Observatory. And we can see some damage here being left behind this, this wildfire. So we see some trees here kind of knocked over and buckled and burnt up. And we can see it as we slow it down here and fly over. Look at the flames. The animation looks pretty good. The smoke looks really good. And I love the addition of the fallen over trees. That's a good attention to detail. And here's a shot of the CL-415 over the wildfire. And we can see the tree laying down over here and over here. Just a beautiful shot altogether. And here is the water bombing effect, which looks very believable and very good. Think about the sun hitting the water on this side, and there'll be another shot where we'll see it a little bit more in detail, but the lighting looks fantastic. So here's the shot of the water bomber coming right at us, dropping that water. That looks very, very good. Look at the lighting hitting here on the left side, lighting that water up, and then it's dark on the opposite side where the sun's not lighting it up, and you can even see the darkness through the actual water. So this effect looks very good. And you'll notice with the shadows of everything, we don't have that yellow hue / green that we saw in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So here's a shot of a G-Wagon that's crashed down at the bottom of a ravine, and they are rescuing that driver with an AS-350 above. Right out of the gate, I'm noticing the clouds look very similar to the current Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I don't think we're going to see that big of a jump when it comes to the weather system, which is fine. I personally love the weather system in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think it's one of its strong suits for sure. And I'm not seeing any high-level clouds here still, and we can discuss that a little bit later on here, but let's continue. As he's getting pulled up, you can see all the trees are all being rippled by that rotor wash. And here is a beautiful shot of the AS350 carrying that person up, and I love how we have dumped that cyclic over, and we're keeping the helicopter counter to the weight on the left-hand side that he's bringing up. So something about helicopters in the current Microsoft Flight Simulator is that they just aren't the greatest flying things in the sim. Now, there are third-party add-ons that are incredible when it comes to helicopter physics, but they do things a little bit differently. In the sim itself, the reason why I don't do a lot of helicopter flying is because they're just not quite there. So they're putting a big emphasis on this trailer with helicopters, so perhaps they put a lot of work into that. But as you can see, it looks like the color palette is showing just how beautiful it is. It looks like it's a much more neutral palette with the vibrance cranked up a little bit, similar to what we've seen in Microsoft Flight Simulator currently, but that yellowish, greenish hue is gone, and the shadows are a lot more harsher and darker, which I think is a welcoming sight. You can achieve this, of course, through NVIDIA in-game overlay or something like that, but this is the in-game footage that we are expecting from the sim. So we'll put it in motion. You can see there that rotor wash coming down and moving everything around looks great. The animations of the people, look at that. Wonderful stuff. Love it. And pretty much what we have seen from Asobo before. There's another shot of them going up to the helicopter, and you can just see how the trees are moving around based on that. We get to this shot here of the oil rig and a ship out here at sea, and we can see the cloud shadows there on the ground, and it looks beautiful. However, we're seeing these little scuddy-looking clouds, these little tiny little things all over the place, and this is something that's prevalent in the current Microsoft Flight Simulator. So again, don't think we're going to get a gigantic change when it comes to the weather system in the new sim, and we have seen these before, that is for certain. So one thing I want you to notice is here with the ship in the water, currently in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's the same thing here. We're not seeing that buoyancy. We're not seeing the movement of the ship like it's on the water. So for those of you that are wanting your flight simulator to become a ship simulator in the distant future, it's not going to get there just yet. But we're going to go ahead and play this through and get to the next shot. And you can see the oil rig beautifully put together. I think it looks quite nice. Yeah, see right here, as we go up in the drone camera, you can see the water's just moving around the edges of the boat itself. So it's not bobbing around. It doesn't have any physics being played on it there. So that is something that's still prevalent in the sim. The water looks pretty much like it does currently. However, the different shaders that they're using here and the color palette makes this look a lot more believable. In fact, if you kind of just squint your eyes a little bit, it looks like a real picture almost. Love the scaffolding here and all of the shadowing underneath it. Very well done. It's a beautiful looking scenery, that's for certain. And then we get this shot here of a avatar or a person walking out to a helicopter. Now, does this mean we're going to have a walk-around avatar in the sim finally? I don't know about that. They haven't said anything about it, and they're not hinting at things here, but they like to drop little Easter eggs here and there in trailers, and I'm thinking maybe we'll see something like that, but it's all speculation. I don't know. I personally would love to have an avatar to walk around and look at your helicopter, look at your airplane before you fly it, do pre-flight stuff that way. That would be really, really cool. And we're seeing maybe a cutscene of you walking out to your helicopter before you do a mission. I will note that the moisture that we're seeing here in the atmosphere and the rain bands all look about the same as what we see in the current Microsoft Flight Simulator, so that hasn't changed. The color of the sea looks pretty good here. Like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with the new shaders. And we're cranking up the engine on this bad boy, and we can see the classic Microsoft Flight Simulator clouds, especially the little tiny little ghost clouds that kind of show up here and there. So that hasn't changed at all. That looks pretty much the same. But there's some other shots we'll see later on where the clouds look a little more crispy. And what I mean by that is, you know, cumulonimbus looked like a cauliflower almost. They're crunchy looking clouds. And there's some shots that we will see that is the case. So helicopter cargo transport, you can now transport various things, and this being a GPU, out to the ship. You can see that the physics are in real time on him, and we'll see when he touches down. Well, here we are, a first shot of the interior of the helicopter. We've got that classic default looking GPS and instrumentation that we know and love. And you can just see that it's just not finished yet, obviously. We don't have the attitude indicator looking correct there at all. But here we are going to be dropping this GPU off at the ship. And you'll see right there when it touches down, look at the slack in the line moving. So there are physics there at play. Very cool to be able to do that. Now, this is very interesting. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. We see a beautiful Air Portugal A330 there. We see an Iberia A320. And then we see Pacific Airways 748 default. And look at that scenery there. So this is the first look at the new simulator. And I don't believe we're seeing any third-party add-ons being shown in this. I think it says it's in-game footage. So that means that this is the default game. I don't know. Did they get rights to, aircraft manufacturers that are allowing them to use them in AI traffic now? Remember, we had that monstrosity of an A330 currently in the simulator that looks terrible. It has like the pointy nose on it. That right there, that's a beautiful looking A330 right there. That looks great. And same thing for the A320. Neo looks pretty much like we've seen before, but it has Iberia colors. Another thing I have noticed here is that we have a handcrafted airport with the interior being shown. That's something we've seen in I&I builds and some other third-party add-ons. Now, is this going to be their handcrafted scenery, or are they showcasing a partnership with another scenery company? I really don't know. But what I can say is this is promising stuff. This is interesting that they're showing you at an airport all of these AI traffic in real colors, and the models look great. Or is this a hint to an A330? I don't know. It's hard to say. But the ambulance looks great. It's bringing somebody in, and we can be an air ambulance in this simulator. So we have somebody being wheeled out to the caravan here. I think a lot of people don't really realize that there are other air ambulances other than a helicopter that saves lives. And here we are having a caravan. And in some instances, you'll see some corporate jets that will be able to do it as well. But this is now available to you. You can be an air ambulance in your career in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Animations look great. Very Asobo looking, what we've seen before. So now we are at a farm. We have a barn here. I love the setting here. I love how immersive this looks with a cornfield right there to our back. And here's our avatar walking out to what appears to be, I think it's a Cessna 155 or the Ag Wagon or something like that. Not an air tractor, not the Piper one. It looks to me like a Cessna. And I think that's Cessna's old logo right there, actually. So he's walking out to it. We can see, we've got the pesticide and stuff here in that big container there. And then there's a fuel container as well. And I love just the attention to detail on this model is really, really good. So here's a shot of agricultural aviation, and here's the Cessna in action, screaming off the cornfield, and we can see a clear shot of Cessna right there. Very cool. And look at the apparatus attached here to the wing with all the spray nozzles. Looks very good, and you can see how they're sideways, so they're spraying all that out, and we're just screaming off of here. And look at the attention to detail. You got the oil stripes there, or streaking, and then we have this pipe that runs back down in there. So Asobo is really good at those small details. Nothing's changed here. Now, here's another good, clean shot of the color palette and how we're not getting that greenish blue yellow thing happening underneath the wings anymore. It's been cleaned up. It looks really good. And look at the clouds. A lot more crispy. Like I was saying, a little more crunchy. And then we see the shot of this pilot over the cornfield dropping the pesticide on there. And I love that. Right here, you can see each nozzle has its own effects coming out of it, and you can even see the ground in between each nozzle, which is really, really good. And then we have this interesting looking reflection here. So I got to say, this is better than what we had before. Remember, we had the person with the iPhone camera taking a picture of something in a business jet or whatever it was. At least we have this now. It looks like it's kind of real reflections. And here's a beautiful shot of it flying over the cornfield and whizzing towards us here. Definitely a Cessna in the front, you can see right there. And then here is the pull-up shot. Over the trees we go. Beautiful. I love that right there. Look at those individual, look at the spray. It even moves left and right there as he's climbing. Very nice stuff. I'm very excited for that. Here we are in the mountains. Again, clouds will look a little bit more crispy than they did in the last sim. So again, maybe they have they've made those better, or they've maxed the heck out of the graphics here for this particular trailer. That's always possible as well. So we have a person hurt up in the mountains, and check this shot out. Great cinematography right here. Love this shot of the helicopter raising up and pushing the grass down from the rotor blast there, a rotor wash. And here we are with mountain rescue. So we have a person here. Not sure if this is going to be a cutscene or not, or if this is going to be just a person you have to find, because that looks pretty difficult. But having mountain rescue is awesome. And now we get a good glimpse of the color palette on the mountain here. Look at how amazing that looks. Love the sharpness of the textures here, and just the overall quality of the shadows there on the left and stuff. It looks very, very nice, and those clouds look mighty crunchy out there. So we will continue on. Here we go, skydiving. We've got a Cessna Caravan up here over Bora Bora, and we have our first jumper. And look at this little thing, little protrusion here, especially up here. They have little GoPros on their head. That's really cool. So he jumps out, and he puts his hands to the back just like that. And then we get another cut scene here of them jumping out. And there is the skydiving livery we can expect to see on the Caravan. I love it. I think it looks great. Love the green and the blue like that. So he goes whizzing by, and then here's another guy jumping out and putting his arms back. And here we go. We have the Cessna pilot deciding he wants to be a skydiver, or he wants to end his career as a skydive aviation pilot. So we can see that he's got the nose completely down. This is just to capture this shot of them falling, and you can see they're in a formation, which is really cool, I must say. But as far as the aviating goes here, we can see we're in the tape way high. Red numbers here. We're going to be overstressing the airplane. It's going to be falling apart. It looks bad from this angle here, but they're just showcasing that they jump out and they do get in formation. Really cool, because whenever I was go through my flight school and becoming a private pilot, we had to worry about gliders, glider ports, but you had to worry about skydivers as well. So seeing this in the sim is very cool, and it brings that much more to the world. So he goes whizzing on by there. Bye. See ya. And then we get this shot here of the sky crane coming in, and it looks amazing. We're going to be putting together what looks to be like a power line, and we've got a car here, got maybe some people standing over here or something. I'm not really sure. Oh, there they are right there. They're not up here on the actual tower, going to be handing it into a position and attaching it, but I don't know. This looks very challenging, if you ask me. It looks very challenging indeed. And flying the sky crane, very cool. Very excited to do that. I do like that helicopter. Very cool. And yeah, we see down here, we're going to be putting that onto here. That and you can see the physics of this thing swaying around. So aerial construction is another option for your virtual career. Now we have a shot of the pilot walking out to the Airbus Beluga. And this thing looks incredible. There's a lot here to unpack in this particular scene, but we can see the pilot walking to the airplane again. Is this a cutscene, or is this indicating that we're going to have an avatar that we can walk around and freely move about the world? Really, really wish we had that. That would be really neat. The clouds look nice and crisped up here. Looks really good. Love the shading there. And right out of the gate, like I said, the color palette, I can't stress it enough. Look at the wing here. Look at the colors. No more greenish blue nonsense there. It looks very, very good. And I love this livery on the Airbus Beluga. It's got the whale eye there in the mouth that comes down. So to me, the build of this screams INI builds. So maybe INI builds is going to have something to do with it, since they've done the A310 and they're doing the A300, and perhaps since it's the same airplane, essentially, they're going to be doing the Beluga as well. That's possible. I don't know. Love the attention to detail here with the work ground crew. You have some people working, being busybodies. This person here checking the tires. Person here underneath here, doing something. Those look different than what I've seen in the past. But then we have the people out here, just like in the last simulator, standing there, waiting to get struck by lightning. Just, doing nothing, standing straight up and down on the ramp like we currently have. So nothing's changed there. And the field truck looks the same as well. However, this whole system here on the left with the cranes and all that, very neat. Not sure how the loading process works or if they're going to have that modeled, which I would imagine maybe they will, but it looks very good. And then we see this shot here of the top of the airplane closing that cargo door, and we get a good shot of the whale eye and mouth right there as well. Looks beautiful. Attention to detail all the way through and through with this airplane. So very cool to be a industrial cargo transport pilot. Now they have this shot of the Beluga taking off, and it's got those, tilting bogey wheels. The landing gear, the tilted landing gear is a problem in the current sim. It doesn't do it correctly. And maybe they wanted to show you this shot for that reason. Maybe they have fixed it, but it looks like it's much smoother when it comes to the rotation of these coming off and not doing some kind of clipping into the ground or anything like that. But maybe that's why they're showing you that there. I see a little bit of a texture, kind of an anomaly on top of there. I don't know. It's not lighting because you'll see it'll flicker back and forth there. So again, these airplanes are not complete, obviously. They're just showcasing what they have. Now we are in probably Antarctica. I believe we are, yes. And we have an Airbus A400M coming in to land. Love this airplane. Very excited to see this one coming into the new flight simulator. On short final here, kind of doing a tactical landing on the snow. And there's touchdown right there. Look at the snow blowing effect out the back there. Looks very, very good. Very nice. Love the attention to detail. Look at the snow on the snow machines here and on all the equipment. And this is where you can see that this airplane is not complete. It's not finished yet. We've got kind of a black cone here, and then a kind of a see-through looking thing happening right here. And then over here, this thing's just gray. When the previous shot here, you see that they're black. No problem at all there. But in this shot, it's gray. And the engine is shutting down, so maybe that texture has changed, and they just don't have the same texture for it yet. And there's no pilots in there either. So there's a lot here that's just early builds of things. But I love this airplane. I'm so happy to see that it's coming to the new flight simulator. And then we are greeted here with the Diamond in St. Bart's. And, we've seen the interior of it. Looks great. Looks like anything we've seen before. But look, doors are open. That's something that a lot of people have been asking for a while. Hey, when are we going to get the doors modeled on these airplanes? And it looks like they have listened to everyone, and they are doing exactly that. We've got a Bentley or Rolls Royce. Looks like a Rolls Royce to me. Here dropping off our VIP subjects at St. Bart's. And you can be a VIP charter service, which is really cool. I know a lot of you guys that fly corporate aviation in the sim are looking forward to this edition for sure. And then we see the Red Bull Air Racing style airplane flying around pylons. So we have the ability to do air racing, not just Reno Air Racing style, but in pylons. And here's the interior. Looks just like what we have expected. The same exact GPS, probably placeholders. Look at this. We don't even have, certain colors and things completed on some of these, but yeah, placeholders for sure. But the same exact thing we have seen in the last sim. So no giant leaps there when it comes to the avionics, except for all the avionics upgrades we have seen through the help of all the different other developers that are involved in that. And here's the bullet turn into right. I love this knife edge shot. You just see the physics at play right there. Very nice. Looks like a ton of fun to fly around the pylon, so you can do that. And then we got the smug face looking dude. He's like, yep, doing some air racing today. Attention to detail on the harnesses there and everything. Looks really good. This is a cool shot. I love the smoke effect too. So then we see glider pilot. So maybe this is an emphasis that they have worked on gliders. They've worked on thermals. Who knows? Not really sure. But beautiful shot here. And we can see, again, this hasn't changed a lot. This the clouds out in the valley right there look pretty close to what we see in the current sim. So I'm not seeing that big of a change when it comes to the weather system. And then we see this bad boy. We see a drill bit tornado coming down and touching down, and we're going to be doing scientific research is what it says here. And one thing I can notice right out of the gate is this tornado here is coming out of a pretty high base. Most supercells are going to have a lower base unless it's a higher one, but this in particularly doesn't have a wall cloud associated with it, and I'm not seeing supercell structure really here. We're not seeing if it was an HP supercell, high precipitation, we don't see like hail core. So nothing changing there as far as storm structure goes, which I would love to see in the future, to have hail cores and see that bluish green color in that, and also supercell structure as well, especially since we have a tornado. The blending of the tornado into the cloud looks pretty darn good, I must say. I'm wondering if this is a kind of a predetermined thing where, you go into a career mode thing to do scientific research. Maybe we'll be able to do hurricanes, who knows? But we do know we're able to mess with tornadoes here, as we can see, and I'm very excited for it. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks really, really good. This effect here, kind of these lines kind of going around it here. It's more of more of a linear looking effect rather than the wispiness that you would see of it drilling into the ground right there. But outside of that, excited to see tornadoes in the sim. So it is a possibility now. It wasn't before. And if we see this happening, then that means that, somebody is going to be able to do something later down the road, maybe a third party, with maybe making it more realistic. But to me, I would think that this whole storm system as a mission-based thing only. And then we see experimental flight. And right here, this is a very interesting shot of the Grand Canyon right there, because I don't know about you, but this looks way better than the current Grand Canyon we have in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I love the color of the trees here and the textures. So maybe they have made this area a little bit more of a focal point for, higher resolution and whatnot. But it looks really good, especially with the new color palette, and the shadowing looks amazing. Here we go. Low altitude training. We have the A-10 Thunderbolt has made its way into the sim, and it looks absolutely amazing. I love this color palette so much. I know I keep saying it, but it looks really, really good. And got 3 A-10s all lined up here, flying together. Somebody just kicked the rudder over there, and there goes the nose just that little bit. And then we have the Cirrus Vision Jet here. So the Cirrus Vision Jet is flying over this area here, and we're seeing spring. Spring is sprung. It's not super green or anything like that or crazy. We see the position of the sun in the sky. I'm not sure if they're doing this in all the same time to show you the seasons, but this is showing you that seasons are indeed in the sim. Let's go into a boom there and check it out. Now we're in summertime. So we can see everything's nice and green. The sun's in a different position in the sky. Very cool. And then we go boom, look at the fall. The fall looks really good. We still have green there, which is perfectly fine. Some fields stay green a little bit longer, so it's not totally, weird. Then we have some clouds over here in the distance, but look at the variation of the tree colors. Looks really good. I think they're working on more of a dynamic experience when it comes to seasons rather than the third-party options we have currently for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So here's the winter. The winter looks pretty much the same. It looks like they've figured out how to make it a little bit more dynamic to the scenery around it, rather than kind of just plopping certain things down when you select snow or you fly into an area that has snow. So we already have winter. We didn't have seasons. We had them in a third-party add-on, but not the same thing. So good to see this for sure. This is a big one. And right here, again, not seeing any cirrus clouds, which is kind of disappointing. I was really hoping by the next few steps in the weather system they would be working on that. We still have these rogue clouds just popping up out of nowhere that we've seen before. And check it out, airship tour, blimps. You can fly an airship, which is really, really cool. I think a lot of people will be excited about this. That and also having the ability to fly a hot air balloon, of course. But looks like it might be in Innsbruck or something. I'm not really sure there. Here's a shot of a bunch of wildebeests and hyenas all packed up together, heading in a migratory path this way. And we have a bunch of balloons in the area. So hot air balloon trips is part of the sim as well. Very cool indeed. And it finishes out with The Sky is Calling. So there you go. That is the full trailer. So again, I want to reiterate, let's just give Asobo time to give us information before we start losing our minds and screaming about not being able to move our third-party airplanes to the next sim. We don't know that just as much as, they haven't told us anything. So we're only speculating at this point. I can't see them doing something like that. In my opinion, it would be smart if they offered this as a upgrade to current users free of charge. And then new pilots would have to purchase it as a separate sim. I don't know how they're going to go about that, but I can't see them just axing all the third-party development work that's been going currently for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and just saying, no, we're moving on to this. Tough luck. I don't see them doing that at all. So I am optimistic when it comes to third-party add-ons and moving them into the new simulator. It looks like perhaps there were some things that they just couldn't fix in the last sim, and they were working this one alongside it to make those changes, and they brought it into the new light. But again, every 2 years, we can expect this same thing happening. Maybe that's the way forward here when it comes to how they want to produce Microsoft Flight Simulator. Or maybe when they said 10 years, they meant they were still going to be making a flight simulator for at least 10 years and promising that. I don't know. I know some people are very upset about it. Me personally, I don't know, so I'm not going to lose my mind about it, basically. What I am going to lose my mind about is key takeaways from here. Aviation careers, very, very cool. I know there are a lot of people that like to be gatekeepers in this community. I am not one of them. I love seeing this sim going to Xbox and bringing in new pilots and new aviation enthusiasts into the hobby of flight simulation. I love to see it. And, being on console and making these little gameism things like having missions and stuff is a great way to bring people in. So to me, it's just a win-win. So I'm not upset by this at all. And I plan on buying this on day one. I really do, because there's a lot here that I am looking forward to. And that is just how good the career mode looks. It gives you purpose for flying from point A to point B, because, when you talk to somebody who doesn't know anything about Flight Simulator, or the first time they've ever seen you fly in Flight Simulator, they go, what's the point? Well, we're simulating point A to point B flying, but now there is kind of a point there. You're going to be a virtual pilot for various aviation jobs, which is really neat. You're not just a cargo pilot, not just an airline pilot. This is really neat stuff that they have come up. Very creative, might I add. So I find this stuff really, really cool. I'm excited for it. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.